With all the talk of WuWa's upcoming anniversary, there's been many wondering, will we get a free 5-star and who would it be? Let's talk about that today. My name is Juice and let's get into it. So for starters, is this even a realistic expectation? Well, we did get a free Xiangliao back in 1.2, and that was just kind of for whatever reason. They just sort of gave him out, he was a very good unit, everyone's very happy with him, and he's still a solid character to this day. And that was just Kuro giving him out for the sake of giving him out. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think that there was any particularly special reason as to why they gave him out for free. He just sorta was, and that was very, very cool. So I do think that it's realistic to think that for their big first anniversary, they might give us another free 5-star. There was also the free standard 5-star selector back when the game first came out, due to launch issues. So Kuro has absolutely been on record giving out free 5-stars. Therefore, while I don't want to completely 100% believe that we might get one next patch, it is very much a possibility, which is why I think it would be fun to discuss who we might potentially get. So, the first character that I've seen a lot of people throwing around would be Ciaccona. I feel that the main reason as to why they would give her out for free is because Zani is right before her. Everybody is going all in on Zani's banner. I'm pretty sure 99% of players are. So perhaps Kuro is going to want to give out Ciaccona so that more people can have her, considering that not very many people are going to have the means to get her. It's a win-win situation, really. Kuro gets all the revenue from Zani's release, and we get Ciaccona even though we probably wouldn't have had the means to pull for her in the first place. Well, granted, I myself would absolutely be saving for Ciaccona. I cannot wait for that character. I would definitely make sure to get her. But I believe that for the majority of people, they're not going to have the pulls. In all honesty, that's the only real basis that I can come up with as to why she'd be free, because on the flip side, she's a very beautiful character, a brand new rinascita release, and so with that in mind, you could argue against her being free. Now I will point out, she's an arrow character, and I do believe that she's going to be the next part of the full arrow erosion picture. Now, if she's a more supportive character, and she doesn't really have any major teams on release, then fair enough, they probably want to give her out for free, so that people don't feel like they pulled for a character that just doesn't really have any use cases at the current moment. Or maybe somehow they could make her work with previous characters that are relatively well used, so that more people are able to get value out of her. All in all, I think it's safe to say that the potential is definitely there, but I'm not totally sold on it. I'm kinda half-half. It could happen, it is very well a possibility, but I'm gonna continue saving my astrites for her under the assumption that she's not gonna be free. Next on the list, I think that potentially Yinlin could be given out. The reasoning is very simple, she's a 1.0 character, and while Yinlin is not bad by any means, she's not exactly meta either. She's good to have, but she's not a priority pull. Her main use cases in the meta at the moment would be to be used of Xiangliao and hypercarry teams, or to be used if you're Jinchi if you're trying to save your Joja for Carlotta. However, Cantarella can fill that position, and Yuanwu is a free 4-star, so you don't really need Yinlin in order to do that. Unironically, freaking Stringmaster is a more influential 5-star than Yinlin herself. That might be a bit harsh, but it's the truth. So I can see her being given out for free because people do like her, most people believe her to have a cool design, and she's old. Well, she's not that old, to be completely honest. I don't really consider a unit that's a year old to be super dated or anything, but by this game standards, she counts as old because she was one of the first releases to come out, being the second ever limited 5-star ever released in Wuthering Waves. Now, you could make the argument that Jiyan should be free instead, because he was the first ever limited 5-star released in the game, but the reason I suggest Yinlin first is because, to be honest, I do just think that she's a bit more popular. And I'm saying that as a Jiyan enjoyer. I pulled a 5-star weapon for him and everything. He has a really good build on my account. I love the guy. Speaking of Jiyan though, I don't think it's too far-fetched to believe that they could go down that route as well, because like I said, he was this game's first ever limited 5-star, and he's quite versatile too. He's great in TOA, he's great in Whimpering Wastes, and he'll generally serve you very well throughout your entire Wuthering Waves experience. Obviously, we've gotten stronger units since his initial release, but he's still a very competent unit. At least in my opinion, it feels like you can pick up pretty much any DPS in Wuthering Waves, and they'll perform just fine as long as you know what you're doing. Otherwise, I don't have a whole lot of faith in this particular idea. I do think that Kuro would prefer to opt for a more popular character instead. I do think that Jiyan definitely has his fans. Trust me, I would know, I'm one of them. However, I do think that they would prefer to go for a more popular character. I've seen some people saying that they want a free Zani. Not that they think that they will get one, but that they wish that they would get one. And I'm just gonna say now, I heavily doubt that she would be given out for free. I'm sure that Kuro absolutely knows how much of a moneymaker she is going to be. Everyone loves Zani. I love Zani. I think she's awesome. Great 3D model, great voice, great everything. Also, I just don't really think that we need to get her for free. Hear me out. I am 99% sure that she's going to be put on the first half. She's very popular, as we've already established. And next patch is Wuthering Waves' anniversary. I'm pretty sure that they're probably going to dump us with free pulls. I'm not sure how many free pulls they're going to give us, but probably a substantial amount. So with that in mind, I don't think that they would give Zani out for free, because most players are going to be able to access her very easily anyway, without that even happening in the first place. This is the banner that everybody has been saving their ass strikes for. The only plausible basis for her potentially being free would be A, she's releasing alongside the anniversary, and B, well, a lot of people want her, so why wouldn't Kuro give her out for free? But I don't think that they would do that to such a highly anticipated banner. So yes, while it would be nice if we could all get a free Zani, I just don't think that that's realistic. It would be awesome. It would be absolutely brilliant, but it's just not happening. I think Ciaccona is far, far more realistic, because people do definitely like Ciaccona, but she's certainly not on the same level of popularity as Zani is. That character broke the charts from moment one of her reveal. Everyone went crazy about her, and out of all of the rinascita characters that were initially dripped, all posts featuring Zani got the most likes and the most engagement out of the entire cast. And then here's a fun little idea. What about we get a limited 5-star selector? We just look at the entire limited 5-star cast of Wuthering Waves, and we pick one of them to keep for ourselves. If not that, then I imagine that they could even make a limited 5-star selector banner, where we look at the entire cast of the game, we pick one, and then we're able to pull for them. So you don't have to wait for the specific rerun of any particular character, you can just go and get them on the anniversary. I don't know how long that would last, if they would make that last for the entire 6 weeks of the patch, or however long. Wuthering Waves patches tend to last a varied amount of time, but we'll say an average of 6 weeks, or if they even make it last 1 week, or a couple of days, who knows? But it is a cool idea, and it would 100% raise a whole lot of player interest. I will say, it would be absolutely insane if they gave out a limited 5-star of our choice without having to wait for any particular reruns for free. Literally crazy. However, I do think that that's pushing it a bit. It's a really cool idea. It would be awesome. Everyone will be really excited. That one character that you really wanted that you missed out on, you could go get them. But I do think that even with Kuro's incredible generosity taken into consideration, that's still quite extreme. I don't think that they would quite go to those lengths. But I do think that the idea of them letting you pick a specific limited 5-star of your choice and giving you the chance to pull for them without having to wait for their rerun is actually quite realistic. I don't know if they're going to do top-up store refreshes, but either way, I do think that if there's any time that people are going to be spending big on Wuthering Waves, it's going to be during the anniversary period, especially with Zani on banners. I also just feel like it will be a really good idea for players' accounts, because so much has happened in 2.0 that's really changed things. For example, the introduction of Whimpering Wastes. Most accounts are still built around the idea of TOA, a game mode where you can weapon share freely, and where single target is generally more favored over AoE. And then Whimpering Wastes jumped into the fray, a game mode where you want good grouping, AoE, multi-wave, that sort of thing. Things that people didn't prioritize as much until now. Well, to be fair, good multi-wave is a universally good quality, but you get the idea. So with that in mind, if people could choose themselves which limited 5-star that they personally wanted to pull for, then they could easily get their account up to snuff again. For example, getting Camellia because she's super versatile across all game modes, getting Roshia because whenever she released, she just didn't have much value, but now with Whimpering in the picture, she's pretty decent. Now, is it plausible is the question? Honestly, I don't really see why it wouldn't be. It seems like a very sound idea in my opinion, and Kuro would have a big chance to profit. I don't think that they're going to give out some sort of standard 5-star selector, and if they do, that it's going to be on top of another free limited 5-star. I say that because the free standard 5-star selector that Kuro gave us whenever the game first launched, that was supposed to last for 1 entire year. If you made a new Wuthering Waves account during that year, then you would have access to that additional standard 5-star. That's expiring upon the anniversary. So, that's your reminder to all of you who haven't claimed that 5-star yet. You might want to claim it soon, because that mail is soon expiring. I mean, they could announce that they'd just be making a permanent one, but I doubt that because we already have a permanent one on the beginner's banner. So if we were to get a free 5-star character, I'm 100% sure that it would be a limited one. This was mostly just something fun to think about because, man, I can't help but be very excited for the anniversary. I really don't know what Kuro has in store for us. I'm just ready to be amazed. I'm sitting here in anticipation. And considering their track record, it's honestly completely realistic to assume that we might get another free limited 5-star. If you ask me, I would personally love if we got that 5-star Selector. I would absolutely be using it, because I have most of the characters, but there's still a handful that I skipped that I would like to take the chance to go and get, if I could. But what do you think? Do you believe that we're going to get a free limited 5-star during WuWa 2.3? If so, who do you think it is? Or do you feel like that's just pushing it a bit? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. As always, I have a ZZZ second channel. Head on over and subscribe if you're interested in some fun, silly ZZZ content. I'd also like to mention that I stream on Twitch. I stream once a week every week on Saturdays, starting from 3 PM UK time. Come along so that we can play Wuthering Waves, ZZZ, and do some other fun stuff together. Hopefully this video was able to feed you some food for thought as to whether we're going to get a free 5-star in WuWa 2.3 or not, and who that might be. This has been Juice, signing out. And honestly, free or not, I don't care. I just really need a Ciaccona in my life.